We're happy to be here today with our friends with CargoHome. We've got Isaac Eisenstein here, Josiah Wheeler, and Clayton Nolan, friends of ours here at CargoHome. And Josiah, why don't you just first kind of tell us what CargoHome is, what you guys do here we're at their manufacturing facility here in Waco. Josiah?
Yeah, so CargoHome, we build primarily tiny houses out of shipping containers. Obviously, shipping containers have been used for quite a while for homes and such. We don't do a lot of large, family homes, stuff like that. We specialize in actually tiny houses. We started, the first tiny house we built was actually a tiny house on wheels. It was just conventional framing, got a custom-made trailer, framed it up, and we listed it on Airbnb as a vacation rental, and that did very well. Started booking out, within 2 days we had 3 months worth of bookings, so we said, we might be onto something here, and decided to build more tiny houses. And we started thinking about what would be, there's a lot of people building tiny houses out there, what would be a unique niche of the tiny house field. And we started, Clayton, Isaac, and myself started discussing the idea of doing a container home out of tiny houses. So we built one, when was that? End of 2017, we built our first tiny house out of a 20-foot shipping container, and that went over very well as a vacation rental as well. Yeah. So we've been building them ever since.
Yeah, you might touch on, how do you get shipping containers, and then once you get them, maybe talk through the process of how do you turn a shipping container into a livable space?
So pretty much all the shipping containers are built overseas, China, Asia, various countries over there. The U.S. imports so much stuff. There's a lot of these containers coming over, and what we get most of them from port at Houston that we actually get our containers from. Initially, we were using decommissioned used containers. So after about 15 to 18 years of using the containers for shipping products, they'll decommission them, and we'd get them used. We're switched now to what's called one-trippers. So they bring a load over from China with a vehicle or packages or whatever they would ship in them, drop them off at the port, they unload them, and we purchase them at that point. So they're in much better condition. So we take those containers, we have them delivered here, and then we cut out the sides of it for window frames, door frames. We weld in steel to reinforce it, because once you cut out that corrugated steel, you weaken the structure some, so we reinforce that with steel tubing. And then we build a wooden frame, basically like a shell inside of a shell. So you've got your metal structure that's incredibly strong and durable. These things are made to hold up to 40 tons of cargo inside of them and be stacked up to 9 high on a cargo ship. So incredibly stout structures. So we take that rigid structure, and inside of that we build a wooden frame that then we can run our plumbing, electrical in, and then we spray foam over all of that. So it's an incredibly, I always say our tiny houses are like a giant Yeti cooler. I mean, these things are very efficient, very well insulated, and because the interior wall is built inside of that exterior wall, there's no thermal transmission. So air conditioning costs, heating costs, all that are extremely low. So we do that, we wooden framing, spray foam them, and then most of our homes we use shiplap paneling inside of them, floor them, put the cabinets in, and then we're able to do all that in the shop, and then we just pick them up, load them up on a trailer, usually with a crane, bring them to the customer site where they have either some piers or footers, and we place the home right on their finished product.
What kind of uses are you seeing the end user or they at a lake house? It's on their farm. Might touch on that.
Yeah, so most, really, I'd say the majority of them are going as vacation rentals. So we've had a few people that use them as an ADU, auxiliary dwelling unit, mother-in-law suite, whatever you want to call it, or a little lake house. Putnams, we did some out China Spring, some nice ones on a little lake there. But 90% of what we're building, people are buying them for vacation rentals. So they set them up. Some people are just doing one or two. Some people, we've got an order right now, we're building 15 for a resort down near Houston. So that's the vast majority of them. And we foresee that continuing to be a tiny house is a tiny house.
Right.
So, and there are some people who live in these things, there really are. But most people, it's a little bit more of a novelty or a weekend guest house sort of thing. So we don't have anybody that's bought them that's actually living in them, though we do have some interest in that, and we are in communication but with some people on that.
Where are most of your clients from? Where are you seeing your activity?
So the majority of them are right here in Texas, but we've also sold to people in California, Ohio, Maryland, or Washington, D.C. But the vast majority so far, we've really focused most of our marketing and such in Texas.
Yeah.
That'd be the majority of it.
I know that I'm fairly familiar with the units, but you might let everyone know, how many different styles of units do you normally, do you have in your production line right now?
So we have, what do we have? Four main models. So the containers come in two sizes, 20 foot and 40 foot. There's a few others, but they're rare. But 20 foot and 40 foot is the standard size. So 20 feet by 88 feet is 160 square feet and 320 square feet. We've got these two deals. In the 20 foot, the real tiny ones, we have two models. One that has a Murphy bed in it, so that it'll raise and lower and it turns into a sofa. And the reason we use that is because that model actually has a full kitchenette and a sink, hot plate, microwave, where people can actually cook a little bit. We have another 20-foot model that has a full-time, just a regular bed and no kitchenette, just a little coffee bar, more like a hotel room. Then we have a 40-foot model with a few variations on it that has its own private bedroom as well as a living room, sleeping bed. All of them have full bathrooms in them. And then we have a fourth model we take the 40-footer on the bottom, and then we take one of those 20-footers and stack it up on top. And upstairs has a full suite as well, master bedroom, bathroom, and it's got an upper deck. All of our models come with an upper deck. People really like that, so you can sit up and enjoy the cooler air.
I guess you
10 feet off the
access
ground.
the second floor with an outside staircase?
Yeah, so it's a spiral staircase. Now, so the reason I was saying, do we have four? We actually have a fifth model that we just custom designed for some customers in Ohio, and we're thinking about making that one of our standard models. And it's a two-story as well, but it incorporates the spiral staircase to access upstairs on the inside. And what it is actually two 40-foot containers stacked on top of one another, and the front end of it is a porch, so you're able to access it. So we'll probably have 5. Then we do a lot of custom stuff, and some of the big orders we're doing right now, we've got order for 12 for one customer, 15 for another, 8 for another. We work directly with the customer when they're doing multiples like that to come up with a custom design that they're happy with.
Yeah, you mentioned a little bit ago about most of the people are using these for overnight rentals. I know you have a company called Villa Stay. You might just touch base on what Villa Stay does.
Sure. Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, we got started in the tiny house business. We built a tiny house on wheels and immediately listed that on Airbnb, HomeAway, vacation rental, and people just seem to really love that for a 2-3 night stay. It seemed to work really perfect. So we've seen a lot of our customer base, that's exactly what they're wanting to do, the same thing that we've done with it. So for a while, what we've done is some customers buy these homes from us, and they've got their own property, they've got their own business, they're gonna run their own Airbnb vacation rental business on the side. A lot of other customers, probably 30 or 40% of our customers so far, have actually bought the homes, the tiny houses from us, and then we have property that we've developed. We call them tiny home villages, where we have the infrastructure, the water and electric and all that. So we're able to they're able to buy that home from us, the cargo home from us. They're able to put it on our property and lease the lot from us, and then we manage it for them as a vacation rental. Initially we had some of the homes we built for ourselves, for other customers. We were kind of all doing it under one roof, and we realized that the management of vacation rentals was becoming quite a art and project in and of itself.
Sure.
So here, about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, we split off and formed a company called Villa Stay that strictly focuses on the management of the vacation rentals. And we manage the tiny houses. We also manage full-size homes in town in Waco and such.
Sure.
So it's a one-stop shop. We do the cleaning, the guest communication, sales, everything. So that's what Villa Stay does.
Great.
Really works hand in glove with the cargo home business.
Yeah. Appreciate the information. I think what we may do next is go out in the plant and let folks see, get a view of what you're doing, actually out in the plant, and then later we'll actually look at some completed units as well. So thanks for this info, and let's go out in the plant.
Sounds good.
All right.
So we'll start down. Let's get. You want to grab Jansen? Just tell him to follow along. So Jansen's our floor manager. Jansen, he's our floor manager. This is Mark Miner, and so I'm just going to lead him through. I'll kind of give him a tour of the 4 phases that we're moving through, but then I might ask you a couple of questions if you want to come along with us here. So you can see, we'll go down here, start where they come in the door. So the containers come in full, none of this is cut out, it's just a solid piece of metal. So we take saws, cut the holes out. That's the first step in the whole process. Cut all the openings for windows, doors. Some of the doors you'll see here, some of the doors we actually use as an entry point. And so what we'll do is we cut out the original corrugation, and then we put a big old pane of glass right in here. So it's a nice big, sometimes we'll do both doors, sometimes just one, and then this becomes the entry into the container. This one has an indoor as well as a side door. Then the next step is that we add this steel tubing in here to reinforce what we cut out and strengthen it. And then we go and we paint whatever color the customers decided they wanted to be painted. We'll paint it that color. The steel that these are made out of, it's called Core-10 steel, and it'll never rust. It's very, very durable, long-lasting steel. So the paint is really just it's just to make it look nice. So, but they're made for salt water, sitting on ships for 20 years, getting salt water on them. I mean, it's quite good. So weld them in. Then I guess they're in here. They're just nailing up the track, right? Is that all this is for?
Yes, that's right.
So if you see in there the metal track, we put that metal track on the top, and that's what all the studs will fit into. And you'll see that clear here in the next phase. So the first phase is metal. That's phase 1. So we'll go ahead and jog around here and head on to phase 2. He's welding the brackets up there we put decks on top of all of these units. You can see them down there. So upper deck with railing and all that. So he's welding on those brackets to the frame, and then the deck gets bolted to those brackets. So really sturdy deck up there. So from phase 1, they move into phase 2, which is framing, MEP, which is mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, so AC, all the electric wires, pipes, and all that, and spray foam insulation. So if you look in here now, you can get a little idea of how it goes. So we build the wooden, the studs, the framing that's floating inside those walls. Behind that runs all the electric pipes and everything, and then we do a closed cell spray foam over there. There's two kinds of spray foam. There's an open cell, which is most common in most homes and such. It's a much softer, more porous. What we use on here is a closed cell, which is completely waterproof. It's a complete vapor barrier. It's also every inch of closed cell spray foam is equivalent about 7.5 R value. So we do 2 to 3 inches in here, so we get a good at least R13 to R19 value here, and are still able to keep the walls very thin. It's a small house, so we want to keep as much floor space as possible, so we make the profile of the walls as thin as we can.
Yeah.
So that's then you can see on these as well, we're starting to build the decks, and have a little overhang here. There'll be can lights under there, so it lights up the entryway, and it'll have decking and a metal rail up there. And then in this phase also, if we come down to this next one, you'll see we also do the paneling inside. So we start putting the shiplap on. Is this house shiplap?
This is how it's yes. And this would be a good one to go in.
Yeah, so if you want to come in here, you can see. So that last house had the frames and the insulation. Now it's all been, we put the shiplap paneling on in here. It'll have can lights in the roof. We've already got the wiring in, so you can see the little X marks up here. That's where they'll drill a hole and they drop all the LED can lights in.
We have a built-in bed.
Yeah, this one gets a built-in bed here.
Built-in bed will come in right here. Have drawers underneath, a little headboard wall. You can see some of the
pendant lights to go over the bed, and then this is we put mini split AC units in all of them. And so this will be the head of the mini split unit. And we do all that. All the air conditioning gets done in here. We mount the outside unit, all that. So when it goes to the customer, it drops right on their pad. They literally have to, it's almost plug and play. They hook up the water, hook up the septic, hook up the electric, and they're up and running. So then this will be the bathroom. We do all custom tile, actual ceramic tile bathrooms. These containers are so rigid, you can do tiling and it doesn't crack. We've never had any problem with them cracking or the grout popping out or anything. It's really stout container.
Another thing we have right here is a little dining area. We have a couple little cabinets right here, a small little fridge that can go under a countertop, and then an open countertop over here for a couple bar stools to go underneath.
But they can sit and look out the window and eat their breakfast or whatever. So the next stage is paint. Next stage is paint prep. Yeah. So they do the paint prep and painting. Sorry for all the noise. This is a shop.
Careful, they're actually painting in here.
Okay. So yeah, so there could be. You can see the painters in there. So we do sanding. All the wood has to be, nail holes puttied. Everything's sanded. There's a lot of work goes into a very, very high quality finish inside of these. So we spend a lot of time getting the prep right. Here, you might want to come this way too.
Under all the cardboard, all the floor is finished. So once it's painted, it's actually all the finishes are done inside of here. So we have a finished floor underneath as soon as it's framed.
So if you come on, so they're up here putting the upper decks on. All of these have been painted, freshly painted in here, so we won't go inside of those. And then at this end of the shop is where we do we build a lot of that. We do decks on the ground as well. So once the cargo home is set at its final site, we'll also put the decks that go around, the entry decks. So we build them in the shop, carry them on a flatbed trailer on site, so once we drop the container, then we're able to just drop the deck right next to it and it's ready to go. So that's what we build, all the decks here on site. And these guys are getting ready. You can see this cedar siding here. Some of these houses like these black ones over here, they don't get any siding. The customer wanted just raw metal painted black. Most of our homes, though, we put siding on the outside. So we use cedar because it lasts a long time. Sometimes it's natural cedar. These are actually going to have a stained cedar. So they're lining them up here to stain them. You can see the black stained over there. So they're doing a dark stain on these. And if you come over here, I'll show you how we attach that siding. So this is the final stage 4 where we do the siding and then we do all the interior trim out. But here you can see we put these wooden fur strips on. So before we frame and spray foam inside, if it's going to have siding, we mount these from the outside and screw from the inside. So it's a good waterproof connection. So these boards are mounted to the metal and then we're able to put that cedar siding and just nail it right to these strips because you can't nail to the metal. So that's what these are for. And then, so in this stage they install the cabinets. If we go down to this one down here, we'll be able to see the windows. Windows go in and all the window trim. So we pre-make the window trim. Hey there. We pre-make all the window trim, and then once we've installed the windows from the outside. Hey Lalo, how are you? Hey, how are you? You come on in here. So the windows are installed from the outside, and then we pre-make this trim in the wood shop, and then they will just slide in here and get attached right in. So this is final stage here, stage 4. Windows go in, cabinetry goes in, all the electrical, trim out, put all the plug surfaces in, sinks, the lights up on the ceiling, and then we test everything. Plug it in, make sure the air conditioner is working, make sure all the lights are working, make sure all the plugs are working, and then take it out the door and deliver it to the customer's site. I'll turn my light on here. You can see some of the tile we do. So here's one of the bathrooms. So we do custom tile floor. Little tiny place, but it works. And this one has a private bedroom in it. You'll see more of the finished ones down the road. Some of the finished ones you can get probably better. So this is one of the. Is this? Yeah. So this is one. So this one is another one of those that has the double glass doors. So this will be the main entry. There's a bed that sits right here, a queen size bed. That's kind of a built-in headboard. Little sitting area here. Behind the bed is a little coffee bar, and then there's a restroom over there. This unit here is another one of our 20-foot units, and this actually gets a Murphy bed built in. So this wall has a big cabinet here with a sofa. So you're sitting on the sofa here, and then the bed folds down like this, and the sofa folds underneath it. The reason we do the Murphy bed in this one is because, as you can see there, we have a small little kitchenette. So in this one, guests can actually cook a little breakfast, wash their dishes, have a hot plate, things like that. And then it gets a bar top running along that window for them to eat. So kind of two different layouts for the 20-foot container, how that works. And then lastly, so then the other end of the final quarter of the shop is our wood shop and metal shop. So we do most of our own fabrication now. If you look here, this is a door. We build all these barn doors like this. So we do this kind of stuff in the wood shop. I think this one has a mirror on the other side. We build them out of cedar, painted. We do all the trim, face frames. We build the Murphy beds. And we're actually starting to build our own cabinets to install in there as well. So that all happens down here at the wood shop. And in the metal shop on the other side is where all the fabrication of the tubes, the railing that goes around the top, that all happens down there. And then so once they finish in this stage, stage 4, we test them all out. Then we'll roll them out that door, load them on a flatbed truck, and take them to the customer site, usually with a crane, take them off the deal and set them right in place and hook them up, and they're ready to go.